Sources are revealing a move that could change everything for the Eagles, my friend. The smartest man in the NFL, Howie Roseman, just made a move that, on the surface, looks pretty humble. A 2027 7th-round pick and $4 million for a veteran quarterback. But if you think that's all that's going on here, you're missing the most interesting part of the story. Because this move wasn't about bringing someone in. It was about laying the groundwork to send someone out. And the name that's dominating the NFL trade market right now has all the makings of one of the most fascinating moves of this entire offseason. I'm going to break down who this player is, why this trade has become practically inevitable, and which teams are lining up to get the deal done. But first, if you're a die-hard Eagles fan, smash that like button and subscribe right now. Because this situation could get resolved before the 2026 draft even gets here, and you don't want to miss a single update. Alright, let's start with the context everyone needs to understand. Last week, the Eagles closed a trade with the Carolina Panthers to bring in quarterback Andy Dalton. A 2027 7th-round pick and the inheritance of Dalton's contract worth $4 million with $2 million guaranteed. Sounds simple, right? Sounds almost too cheap for Howie Roseman. And that's exactly where the detail most people are overlooking lies. With Dalton arriving, the Eagles' quarterback room now has 3 names. Jalen Hurts, the unquestioned starter entrenched in his role. Tanner McKee, who has been generating interest from every corner of the league. And now, Andy Dalton, the new addition. 3 quarterbacks on a Super Bowl contending franchise is not the norm. So the question every reporter in Philadelphia is asking right now is, who's on his way out? The answer is almost certainly Tanner McKee. And here's the full reasoning. The Eagles are a sharp organization. 3 Super Bowls in the last decade, 2 championships, 4 straight seasons with at least 10 wins. Howie Roseman has rebuilt this roster more than once with moves that stack and compound like a smart investment. He doesn't spend without a reason. So why pay $4 million for a third-string quarterback? Why give up a 2027 7th-round pick in what's expected to be a stronger class? Because he needed insurance. McKee is in the final year of his rookie deal. Come 2027, he becomes a free agent and will be looking for a team that can give him a real shot at being a starter, or at the very least a number 1 backup. Dalton is 38 years old and also in a contract year. He's not a long-term replacement for McKee. But he is the perfect solution for 2026, which is exactly the window the Eagles need to trade McKee, get a pick in return, and still have an experienced backup who can step in and win games if Hurts goes down. In Roseman's mind, that math adds up perfectly. And when Roseman does something that doesn't seem to make sense, it's usually because he's seeing 3 moves ahead. Now, what is McKee actually worth in a trade? The typical price for a backup quarterback on the market is a day 3 pick, a 4th, 5th, or 6th rounder. But according to reporters covering the team, Roseman has been asking for more. A day 2 pick, a 2nd or 3rd rounder, isn't out of the question given the mystique McKee has built through his limited appearances over the past 2 years. The sweet spot is probably somewhere between a 4th and a 5th rounder, and this negotiation could happen before the draft, during it, or even into the preseason. The only real hard deadline here is the in-season trade deadline. Roseman has options, and he has patience. But which teams actually make sense as a landing spot? Let's break it down. The team most heavily linked to McKee in the rumor mill is the New York Jets. And the reasons are multiple. New York has one of the thinnest quarterback depth charts in the entire league. They've signaled a desire to make multiple low-cost moves to fill out the quarterback room for 2026, with the real long-term solution expected to wait until 2027. The first step is already done. A trade with the Las Vegas Raiders to bring in Geno Smith, who figures to be the Week 1 starter. But they need someone capable behind Smith. McKee fits that profile. The most interesting connection, though, is a coaching one. Jets offensive coordinator Frank Reich has Stanford ties, McKee's alma mater. Reich spent time with the Eagles organization as interim head coach before taking his current role in New York. And the type of quarterback Reich gravitates toward? Big, classic pocket passer archetype. That is exactly what McKee is. If the Eagles lower their asking price even slightly, this trade might be done before you finish watching this video. The second destination that makes a lot of sense is the Miami Dolphins. On first glance, it might seem odd. Miami signed Malik Willis in free agency this offseason, and before that they were talking up 2025 7th-round quarterback Quinn Ewers as a potential starter for 2026. So on the surface, it doesn't look like McKee fits in Miami's plans. But the new Dolphins regime has talked openly about adding multiple quarterbacks and building a consistent pipeline at the position, essentially the same model the Eagles use. The Willis signing doesn't close the door. It just adds another slot to the puzzle, and the Dolphins have the ammunition to make it happen. 11 draft picks in 2026, 7 of which come on the first 2 days of the draft. That leaves them 4 day 3 picks to work with for a McKee trade, while still addressing the other needs on the roster. What makes the situation even more compelling is the inside connection. Former Eagles offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo joined Miami's staff this offseason. He overlapped with McKee in Philadelphia for the past 2 years. They built a rapport. The Dolphins would have an inside level of knowledge on McKee that other teams simply don't have. And in a market where you're betting a pick on potential, that inside information has real value. The third destination is the Los Angeles Rams. And here the situation is pretty straightforward. Los Angeles enters this offseason without a backup quarterback after employing veteran Jimmy Garoppolo in that role for the past 2 seasons. Garoppolo is still unsigned deep into March, and while a return to LA is on the table, there are real chances the veteran retires if no opportunity to start emerges. If Garoppolo doesn't come back, the Rams need a backup. And with Matthew Stafford, 38 years old, operating in what could be a final championship window, having a quality backup isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. The key connection here is Brian Johnson, former Eagles offensive coordinator during McKee's rookie year, who was hired by Los Angeles this offseason. Johnson knows McKee's game up close. That's exactly the kind of internal influence that can move a trade negotiation forward. The fourth destination to keep an eye on is the Detroit Lions. Former Stanford head coach David Shaw, who recruited McKee to college and coached him through his final season with the Cardinal, is currently on Detroit's coaching staff. That is one of the strongest personal connections in this entire analysis. The Lions did sign Teddy Bridgewater to back up Jared Goff for the 2026 season, so the immediate need isn't urgent. But if you're thinking about 2027, when McKee becomes a free agent and Bridgewater's contract expires, Detroit emerges as a natural destination. File that name away for the next cycle. So what's really going on here? Roseman is playing chess while the rest of the league is playing checkers. He watched McKee appreciate as an asset, locked in coverage with Dalton so the Eagles wouldn't be vulnerable at backup quarterback in 2026, and now he's going to extract maximum value from a player he pulled out of the 6th round of the 2023 draft. If he lands a 4th rounder for McKee, that's a phenomenal return. If the right offer doesn't come before the draft, he waits. Roseman has patience. Roseman has options. The question that remains is, which of these teams blinks first? The Jets with the Reich connection, the Dolphins with Patullo and the draft capital, the Rams with the most urgent need and Johnson on staff. Each one has a legitimate reason to make this trade happen. And with the draft approaching as the next major landmark on the NFL calendar, the answer is probably coming in the next few weeks. If you want to stay on top of every Eagles move this offseason, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell, because the Tanner McKee story is going to have an ending soon. Drop it in the comments. Which of these teams do you think closes the trade? Jets, Dolphins, Rams, or Lions? I'll see you in the next one.